Hello everyone and welcome to the penultimate episode of ToyWorld Robots, which form the basis of the Dinobots. As you can tell from the rather large oversized box in front of us, we now move on to Grimshell. Originally Grimshell was called Lock, and of course if we combine Lock and Grimshell together you get Grimlock. I don't know why they changed the name. I mean, Lock seems to me to make more sense than Grimshell, however. It is what it is. There we are. So, Grimlock, or Grimshell, being of course the central figure of the Dinobots and always being much bigger than the other Dinobots, you expect him to come in a large box. And you aren't disappointed. It's colossal. Idea of size, Masterpiece Prime there, so the box itself is at least twice the size of a Masterpiece Prime figure. So, what do you get for your money? Well, let's open it up and have a look. As ever, you'd expect to get nice packaging on the side, which you do, nice full-size pictures of the Dinobots. Here you have the rear views, and on the other side you have the front views of the figure. So it looks very good. Open it up. Standard instruction pad here, quite useful, nice little sticker of Grimlock, and the stats. In the box itself you get a extremely large oversized polystyrene box for advertising ToyWorld. You just open the lid, put the lid to one side, and inside you have your Dinobot. Ooh, careful with that. The extra parts are for the combiner element, which we will come to in the next video. However, to begin with, the only bits we need today are Grimlock himself, his gun, his sword, and the extra pack here. So the rest of it we will come to later, or indeed in another video. We'll just move the box out of the way. Okay, so at the moment Grimlock's flying or swimming, but we'll just put him fully up into Dinobot mode. Just need to extend the feet like so. Same on this side. Pop the head down. There we go. Now, all of this stuff here does fit on his back. So you've got two holes there, so you can fit these on there. Which way round shall we go for? We've got an option, we can have it facing that way. I'm going to face it this way. So we just stick these in. Not quite as simple as it is, partially because of the way I'm holding it so that you can see what I'm doing, but also sticking it in there. As for the gun itself, that too does have a little home. See these two little holes here? They go into the holes here, so it will actually sit in the middle. I probably should have put these in first, but there we are. That will fit like that. And then the actual sword itself will fit on any one of these holes in his leg. Very much evocative of the original. So you've got on his back, you've got all the weapons as well. So you've got nice chrome arms there, you've got the nice use of the gold, but predominantly Grimlock is more, I'll put it this side, he's more of the kind of Dinobot grey, perhaps, shall we say, than any of the others. He's got less shiny on him. That said, the shiny that is there works very nicely on his neck, on the feet, and on the arms and the rear of the tail. His mouth does open, reveals some exceptionally sharp teeth, and yet another gun inside. Much like Triptychon, this gun, however, does not move, but it's still very nice. And you've got, the eyes do glow a little bit. You just have to kind of try to get the light source just right through the shiny bit through there, coming out there. Overall, it's a very nice robot. The arms do move, even the little claws, the pincers. The bottom one has some movement, as does the one above it. However, this one here, top claw, does not. But nevertheless, he still has some movement there. It's a very nice robot. To be honest, it's probably of all of them, it's perhaps the most accurate G1 recreation of them all. Even to having the gun on the backpack as well. I think it looks really nice as a Dinobot. He's pretty large as well. Again, taking our Masterpiece Prime. Even in Dinobot mode, he's almost the same height as Prime. So yeah, it's a really, really nice figure. considerably larger than the other Dinobots as well. Let's just take a look at Slag here, give you an idea of the scale. But again, you'd expect that because a T-Rex is bigger than the others. So yeah, I think as in terms of your Dinobots, he looks very good in Dinobot mode. However, for me, this version of Grimlock is best in his robot mode. That's really where the skill comes to. It's not, well, it's a relatively straightforward transformation in that it's quite similar to the original. However, there are some fiddly parts, so bear with me. Start off by taking off the sword, that's one side, and all this fiddle bit here. I'm just going to take the weapon off as well, disengage the weapon too. Okay, so I'm going to start with the legs here, just to get these out of the way, because this top part here, let's close the mouth here, the top part here is quite fiddly in that, and also it's very much held together by a very tiny piece of plastic within here. We don't really want to put too much stress on it, because it's one of those things that you look at it and you're thinking, sooner or later that's going to break. Given how much this costs, you don't want that breaking at all. So, flip those up like that. These parts here, it's incredibly stiff, but we do want these to come out like so and round. You can just hear the ratchet and just how tight that is. This just move up here. Now the legs will then just check it out. I haven't got anything else on there. They just pull apart like that. And then once you get to this point, so you've got it up, it's now level there. This is now on a rotator. Just see it in there, that rotates around. Quite a flimsy looking piece considering what it's got to do, but nevertheless that rotates down and then like so, and that's basically the leg. Same deal here, that goes round, rotates again. Once you've rotated it all the way around, it then just pops down like that. These do come out, but you don't actually need to worry about that for this. Pop it in there. And that is basically the leg. Of all of them, it is by far the most simplest leg operation of all of them. The others you normally have bits to fiddle around with here, but there's partially elements to the combiner element, but also it's just a nice simple transformation. Okay, I'm just going to sort out the hands now. So that's simple. It's the standard flip up and down, and that's all there is to it. Same here. Flip this up. Comes down like that, flip it down. So by far the most simplest transformation of them all. Now we come to the head part. So what you have here is there's a little hook in here where this goes into, which you just need to gently try and prise off. Sometimes it's easier said than done. There we are. The whole thing then slides up like so. Now, this will then move around. You see what I mean here? This tiny joint here has to hold all of this. That's the bit that I'm a bit worried about. Put that to one side at the moment there. Okay, you've got the head in here originally. You've got all these bits here which slide up. So let's go ahead and just begin by flipping the head up. Rotate up like so. These gold parts here now have to go up there. So, to try and move this so it's nicely out of the way, so we don't put any pressure on it. Before I do that, I'm just going to move this up, unhook these off this bit here. These are very, very tight. This tight fit on here. This is the thing I notice most with this this toy, is these are all extremely tight fitted. They fit as they're meant to, but my God, do they make it hard to fit in. Right, now we can move this up. So this just goes, move this back down now. These go up until you end up with a nice level joint up there like that. Same deal here. What would probably help is if I moved this out of the way. This is where, again, everything is really, really tight because this does not really wish to move, but it has to move because otherwise these bits don't go. What? It's quite difficult holding it as well while you're doing it. There we go. Right, so that bit now goes up there, that bit goes up there. Now this can go back. So what you probably can't see terribly well in here, but this will now slot back down like so. And what it's doing is it's just keeping everything locked into position. There we are, like that. Again, it's all very, very tight. It does fit, that is how it's meant to work, but everything goes really, really tightly. These rotate up like that, and you see now you've got another part for this to go in. I'm not going to push this in all the way, because when we come to the next video, I'll have to take it all out again, and as I say, it's an incredibly tight fit. Okay, and that just slots in like that. Chest panel goes up, slots in. There we are. That's pretty simple, isn't it, that bit? Rotate down, rotate down. This bit is all out the way at the back here. We're almost there with Grimlock, actually. Oops. Put the legs on there. When I say almost there, I really do mean almost there. Okay, extra parts here. These will actually sit on top of this. To start off by just flipping this up like that. By doing so, this releases these two clips here, and it kind of just perches on the top here. It's basically a missile launcher, or rocket launcher. Now I would flip this fully, position this fully in, but I don't want to, again, because it's such a tight fit, it really makes it difficult. So you have to push these fully in here. If I bring this close to camera, pushing these parts here in fully to engage this makes it such a tight fit. Trust me, it's flipping difficult to take these off, and I'm a bit worried because it's going a very tight fit on plastic onto the chrome plastic, and I can just see the chrome being worn off. Guns holds like so, fairly standard, straightforward. Sword, again, fairly standard, straightforward. There we are, Grimlock. Fantastic looking robot. I like the fact that the eyes do glow. You know, you've got great shiny chrome parts on him. You've got all the detail on there. It just looks really, really good figure. What's also quite interesting is it kind of takes the cross between the Action Master figure and the original figure. So, I don't have the original figure, but I do have the Action Master figure here. Yeah, as unprepossessing as it is. But, if we just put the two side by side, in fact, I'll pop that there. Try and get it so you can actually see them both. Whoops, zoom in. I might have to hold the Action Master figure in front. There we go. You see how similar they actually look, particularly around the head and the chest. Obviously the Masterpiece style figure, if you like, has got some dark coating on his chest, but actually they are very, very similar. Say the head particularly with the blue and that. So I assume that was done deliberately, but yeah, the Action Master figure and the Masterpiece style, the ToyWorld figure, are very, very similar, which is quite nice to see. And height-wise, again, let's bring out our Optimus Prime. Prime is very marginally taller than Grimlock, but it is very marginally. And again, that's how it should be. You know, Grimlock's a big guy, Prime's a little bit bigger. Grimlock has the bigger weapon. Read into that what you will. But it still works. As I say, as a robot, it looks fab. Yes, you've got all this kibble hanging off the back, but you had all that hanging off the back of the original robot as well. So you are a bit limited in terms of what you can do there because of all the kibble. If we stick that on there, or you rest it on there, you see he actually has, it kind of bridges, it makes him feel a bit more hemmed in, of course, because he's got a big rocket launcher so he can look forward and not much else. It's quite a nice accessory to have too. So, worth the money? Yes, it is worth the money. There is a few niggles with it, not least of which are the fact that several parts of this are held together by very thin plastic joints. So, this part, all this stuff hanging off the back here is my main concern, because there's a single tiny plastic joint holding it all together, and if that snaps, this entire head wouldn't be useless. So that's my main concern, is the fact that it's, for all of its solidity and the fact it's a big character with strong ratchet joints on that, you've still got very thin plastic holding some of the parts together. Other parts, these are very, very tight. It is very difficult to put them on, and even more difficult to take them off, and you just see that that's, again, it's areas that are just going to snap over time. So it's a figure that you don't want to change that often, because it will break, and that's disappointing really, when you consider that this guy is not cheap. Not cheap at all. We're talking the thick end of 100 quid here. It's disappointing that some of the parts on it are so weak or very tight, which means you can just see them breaking over time, and that's something that I didn't really expect. I expected it to be a solid character all the way through. It looks great, it does transform great, but you want to limit yourself to the amount of times you transform it, just because I do see that breaking. Okay, so we've now seen the 5 Dinobots, but as I've said several times, these are combiners. So our next video, we'll look at their combined form. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you for the next review. Thank you. Goodbye.